Hello, and welcome to RichieNicksGaming. Now that Amazon's The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power has finally finished, I have finally begun to watch it. In each of these videos, I will be doing both live reactions to the show as I watch it for the very first time, and they will then conclude with a review of both the episode and the series up till that point so far. If this interests you, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down there and hit the bell icon so that you receive notifications when I keep posting these videos. And if you're not interested in the live reaction stuff and you just want to go straight to the review, then use that timestamp that I'm going to put somewhere down there. Enjoy! And one last quick thing, I'm really sorry about the sound balance in these first two episodes. I recorded them back to back, so they have the same incorrect balance of audio. The show is much too loud compared to me talking. I will fix this in future episodes.
Do you know why a ship floats and a stone cannot? Because the stone sees only downward. The darkness of the water is vast and irresistible. The ship feels the darkness as well, striving moment by moment to master her and pull her under. But the ship has a secret. For unlike the stone, her gaze is not downward but up, fixed upon the light that guides her, whispering of grander things than darkness ever knew.
But sometimes the lights shine just as brightly reflected in the water as they do in the sky. It's hard to say which way is up and which way is down. How am I to know which lights to follow?
No. So Galadriel's little, nothing's evil in the beginning and everything, that's fine, but what the hell is Finrod talking about? What's this stone boat? What?
We had no word for death, for we thought our joys would be unending.
Please, in the comments, let me know if it's true that elves didn't have a word for death.
So when the great foe Morgoth
That looks terrible.
destroyed the very light of our home, we resisted. And a legion of elves went to war. One filled with untold perils and strange creatures beyond count. A place known as Middle-earth.
Just want to say that's a really awesome and a really awesome and really fast way of saying, hey, you know, they couldn't just fly the eagles into Mordor. I know this isn't the War of the Ring. I know they're not heading into Mordor, but I mean, did you see that fell beast just destroy that eagle? Also, that tree CGI, like them showing the tree get destroyed by Morgoth, that just looked bad. It looked really bad. Like, it doesn't look like it had a budget of $1 billion, as they were so willing to just flaunt as advertisement. And I have a problem. They mentioned Morgoth. They showed the trees die. They they like showed like a shadow that was Morgoth, but like, what about Ungoliant? Ungoliant. Depends on. I think it's supposed to be Ungoliant, but I like to pronounce it Ungoliant. She's the giant spider that ate light. She's the one who, like, Morgoth stabbed at the trees, but she's the one who actually drank the light out of the trees. She's an ancestor of Shelob. Kind of a big deal.
They said it would be over quickly.
Let's translate that for everybody. Are Balrogs there? Alright, so the explanation for what he said, by the light of the Valar or by the light of Valinor, they will die. Are they Balrogs or just fissures and fires and shit? Can we slow it down? We cannot slow it down. Really? I'd also like to make note that you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fell beasts and 1 eagle in this shot. So the eagles are outnumbered. One of the points I always try to bring up when people... Oh, look, that's another fell beast right there. You can tell by their wing shape. That's not an eagle. Like, that's how you can tell. But, like, every time it comes up in, like, an actual Lord of the Rings discussion, we don't know how many fell beasts Mordor has. We didn't even know they had fell beasts. They got sent down on horses. And then in the books, even before the end of the Fellowship of the Ring, the Nazgul return on fell beasts. Legolas shoots one of the fell beasts out of the sky before they know what it is. And, like, they just keep getting remounted with more fell beasts after that. So that's all the way back in Fellowship. That's before the splitting of the Fellowship. In the books, they get access to them way earlier, and they never seem to run out of them. So, like, who knows how many they have? You can't just send, like, a battalion of eagles in, because not only do they have enemies on the ground, but they have enemies in the sky, and we don't even know how many enemies in the sky they have. But we're trying to see if there are Balrogs. So far, I just see 1, 2, like, fissures or volcanoes. Is that a Balrog? Was that supposed to be a Balrog? What is this eagle actually even being sent into? It's just like fires. Is that a Balrog? I can't tell if they're supposed to be Balrogs or just like fires.
In the end, Morgoth would be defeated, for his orcs had spread to every corner of Middle-earth, under the command of his most devoted servant, a cruel and cunning sorcerer. They called him Sauron.
Gotta say, first of all, love the roll on the R in Sauron. Like, right way to pronounce it. Good description. Cunning, cruel sorcerer. He was the necromancer. He had such titles as the Lord of Werewolves. And yes, he was Morgoth's most devoted servant. I want to say maybe the leader of the Balrogs. What was his name? I want to say the Balrogs were probably more... The Balrogs came and saved Morgoth's life when Ungoliant turned against him. Sauron, he basically surrendered every fight he got into and ran away every chance he got. So maybe most devoted servant isn't, like, truly the case here. It feels more like Sauron was just following Morgoth in order to learn as much as he could in the hopes that one day he would take his place, and that's exactly what happens.
And marked his flesh with a symbol, one whose meaning even our wisest could not discern.
It means Sauron, doesn't it? They've mentioned not Sauron. They've mentioned Morgoth. They've mentioned his destroying the trees of light. They've mentioned Valinor. They've shown these things. mentioned the War of Wrath. Why aren't they talking about the Silmarils? Or the Silmarilli? Technically, the plural for Silmaril should be Silmarilli, not Silmarils. So no mention of them, no mention of Feanor, and no mention of the Ban of the Noldor. People like Finrod and Galadriel were kind of just swept up in this whole thing. I'll get into it later, but technically they willingly went to Middle-earth, but it was part of a way bigger thing, and they got banned from Valinor by the Valar. And Galadriel specifically was still named as like a specific individual banned from Valinor all the way up until the Lord of the Rings. Like, it's a huge plot point. And they've shown that, like, they're not afraid to touch it because they talk about Morgoth and the trees and everything. Why no ban? Why no ban?
Year gave way to year. Century gave way to century. Last, out of thought and mind, one more of our kind began to believe that Sauron was but a memory. And the threat, at last, was ended. I wish I could be one of them.
Alright, so ever since the trailer, I've had an issue with that shot. It's very obviously fake. This whole forward width. This whole forward width stuff, that it's so obviously CGI, and I don't like it. Like these grand sweeping shots of landscape work when it's actual landscape with maybe a few changes, alterations made, not an entirely fake landscape. It doesn't look good. That shot doesn't look good. Actually, you know what? Given the timeline, forward width, AI should be pronounced as like I, Dunedine, not Dunedin. So forward width instead of forward width. But still, that's not what its name should be. In fact, we shouldn't be discussing how to pronounce WAITH because it should be called FotR. Given the timeline, this show, takes place after the War of Wrath. The War of Wrath was the war in which Morgoth was overthrown. This takes place after that. Forwardwyth was, like, for the most part, destroyed during that battle, and what remained of it was renamed to FotR. So while I like that they're sending them all the way up here to the northernmost waste, which is essentially what Forwardwyth translates to, because, you know, that's where Morgoth and Sauron used to hang out. Morgoth loved the cold. He created ice and volcanoes. Kind of weird. Like, it makes sense for them to go there, and it makes sense for them to find traces of Morgoth and Sauron there, but it's not what it should be called.
This company has followed you to the very edge of the world, but none who ever dared search for this last stronghold has ever found anything. It's been years since the last orc was sighted. Is it not possible the other commanders are right, and our enemy is no more? Night is closing in. How long can living flesh endure where even sunlight fears to tread?
What? Night is closing in. How long can living flesh endure where even sunlight fears to tread? What? Just because it's nighttime? Like, if he was saying that they're going to a place that never has sunlight, that living flesh stuff would make more sense. But just because the sun's going down, like, no one could possibly live here, the sun sets. I understand what the phrase literally means. And it could make sense if they were traveling to a place where the sun never shines. What does it mean here? It makes no sense. That reeks of trying too hard. I don't like it. I've seen plenty of people complain about the dialogue, and we're less than 10 minutes into this show, and I've already had two, like, what the fuck are they talking about moments. Wind whooshing. Why aren't they wearing gloves? Or hats?
This is it. This is where the orcs gathered after Morgoth's defeat.
How do you know?
Far more must have escaped than we ever imagined.
Based on what? Now the wind is whistling. I'd call that more of a whine.
The door was filled
Yeah,
in
let me
here.
just punch through a solid wall of ice.
Bring it down.
Orcs are gruesome.
But what was their purpose?
Surely it is lost to the ages now.
Okay. In the scene where they described how cold it was, you could kind of see their breath. Makes sense. You should have been seeing a ton of their breath the whole time. Should have seen more breath than they were showing you. But now they're not even showing any breath. If it's so cold, then every single breath should be visible. And they should all be wearing gloves. Like, there's no reason for them not to be wearing gloves. At all. Like, why wouldn't they have gloves?
Then you shall do so alone.
They're all just gonna lay down their weapons before traveling back, even though they know it's dangerous. Like, they just needed her to save them with weapons. It's a really long intro. And that's it for a title card. Ovarian. The Wildernlands, east of the Hunt. The Anduin River, Anduin River being the river that the Fellowship traveled down in the boats.
Clear and clear.
Wolves are coming.
Easy, Malva.
The last time we had travellers this early, it was the Great Frost. And there's no misremembering how bleak a season that was.
I want to say I appreciate this, like, pre-Shire Hobbit society. It makes perfect sense. I love it. This is one of the instances of like all the racist stuff that was being said before the show actually came out. Harfoots are literally described by Tolkien as being darker of skin than other hobbits. So that, why not? I'm still mad about that Nori name. I don't know if you saw the short that I posted, but why would you name a hobbit Nori when that is established in canon as being a dwarf name? One of the dwarves that is in the book and the movies, The Hobbit, is Nori. Why would you name a hobbit Nori? Doesn't make sense to me.
Glory, glory, and splendor.
Hobbits exploring just to go find food and then stuff in their faces. It's like the most Hobbit thing they could do.
It looks like a footsie.
A dog. Just a dog. You know how dogs love berries.
Warg.
Is he going to eat owlberries?
Got down there awfully fast. Is it? It's not even gonna chase him?
Ipalanuble, like a spring rain over the bones of a dead animal. Spring rain over the bones of...
Harold Elrond. The council regrets to inform you, you won't be permitted to attend the next session. Elf Lords only.
Was there anything else?
So they're gonna say that, implying that he's not an Elf Lord, when to the casual viewer he would clearly be an Elf Lord. Elrond is the half-elven. He and his twin brother Elros were the first two offspring of the coupling of a man and an elf. Pretty sure they even have Maya blood in them. So as the first living things that were of the two different species, it was unknown whether they would be immortal or not, and the Valar said that they had to choose. So Elros chose to be a mortal man, and he became the first king of Numenor. It's why, like, Numenorians have really long lives. But Elrond chose to be an elf, and so he got the title of half-elf, and he's, like, the only one. That's a little bit of, like, inverse racism makes no sense. Why is the king's herald not allowed at some sort of council meeting just because he's a half-elf? Like, his father saved the world. His father literally saved the world, like, just because his father was a man. Oh my god. Okay.
These soldiers have swept across crag and crevice, washing away the last remnants of our enemy like a spring rain over the bones of a spoilt carcass.
Spoiled carcass is
and
better
now
than
at
dead
last.
animal. And she refuses to kneel all the way.
And granted passage across the sea to dwell for all eternity in the blessed realm, the far west, the undying lands of Valinor. They are going home!
What? What? I'm with you, Galadriel. What? You can't send Galadriel home, Gil-galad. You don't have that power. She's banned. The Noldor are banned. Why did they exclude Fëanor and the Silmarilli? I know that they're adapting Lord of the Rings and not the Silmarillion. And I know that they talk about it in the appendices. The ban of the Noldor is like the single most important part of this. Not just in the Silmarillion, in Lord of the Rings. Like the whole point of like the I've passed the test when Frodo offers her the ring. Like, come on. That makes me really mad.
What you have always been. My friend.
Yes, her entire identity is being your friend, Elrond. The land of men. Just called the Southlands. Describes a lot of land. That guy's ears, he could be a half-elf too.
Only weeds will grow.
This fellow, where was he from?
Didn't say east, I think.
And what day was he here?
Oh, let it go, knife ears.
Knife ears.
It's a bloody patch of grass. The lot you lump us in with died off 1,000 years ago. When are you people gonna let the past go?
Past is with us all, whether we like it or not.
One day, our true king will return and pry us right out from under your pointy boots.
Easy, lad. Quinn.
What does he mean by true king? The only other, like, the once and future king thing is with Aragorn in The Lord of the Rings, and that's thousands and thousands of years after this.
And you smell of rotten leaves?
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
Simple. I like
My
that.
point is this. Only twice in known history has a pairing between elves and humans even been attempted, and on each occasion, it ended in tragedy. It ended in death.
Yep,
You need
for
not
everybody.
remind me. 79 years I've been stationed here. Suppose I've grown accustomed to it.
The whole human's life.
And you believe this place was once a barren scrap of rock?
It has changed much, Watchwarder.
But the men who live here have not. The blood of those who stood with Morgoth still darkens their veins. You shall be returning home to far more than you left. Honors, title. Your life will begin anew. But mark this,
What, just for
Arondir,
being on an outpost
that for
for
79 years you've kept watch over the men and women of Tirharad, not because of what their ancestors once did, but because of who they still are. And be grateful that you need never see them again.
Everybody's racist. And in this world, races are actually different. Dwarves and men and elves and hobbits and stuff. Doesn't mean ethnicity, it means actual race of being. That Arondir guy's non-canonical. This Rowan woman's non-canonical. That place of Tirharad is non-canonical. And is that kid...
All day.
I call that that kid is Arondir's son.
They slept. What's one of them doing here?
Alright, well, if he's his son, he doesn't know it.
Maybe that's why your father run off like he done.
My father didn't run off.
Then what happened to him? You don't even know, do you?
He's one of the Pinties.
Go on, quick.
But he doesn't run away? Or hide? Sauron. Alright, so now Sauron has a sword that was broken? Sauron is not just defeated by a sword that was broken, but has a sword that was broken of his own. And here we are now, heading to Valinor, against all logic and faith to Tolkien. Cool. That last scene proves that the king that guy's talking about is Sauron. So he said in 2 sentences, he said, "We are not the people that followed Morgoth. When our true king, aka Sauron, comes back." Okay, you didn't follow Morgoth, but you follow Sauron, who followed Morgoth?
Are you acquainted with the work of Lord Celebrimbor?
Obviously.
Greatest of elven smiths, of course. I've admired his artistry since I was
Greater
a
than
child.
Feanor?
Why do you ask?
He is about to embark on a new project, and we've decided that you will be working with him.
What?
But I'll allow you to explain the details, Lord Celebrimbor.
Okay, so I immediately questioned the appearance, like the physical appearance of Elrond. And then I saw Gil-galad and I thought, oh, maybe Amazon was just like, oh, we don't want him to look too similar to Gil-galad because he's supposed to have long dark hair like Gil-galad. Now they introduce Celebrimbor, who has almost the exact same hair as Elrond, both color and style. Celebrimbor should be blonde, sure, but he should have long hair. The actor who plays Elrond has darker hair than Elrond does. What's with this character design? I know it comes off as, like, obsessive and nitpicky, but looking at it from, like, a production standpoint. Yes, as a book nerd, I was bothered by Elrond's physical appearance, but then after the fact, I was like, I came up with a very reasonable explanation as far as, like, the production of a movie or show goes. But now this guy destroys that explanation. That guy needs to mind his own business. He's got a weird face. The seabirds make sense. diegetic and they didn't make any lyrics in the subtitles. Alright, that's one way to interpret lifting the veil. And I guess I don't know what I've ever really thought it should look like. So this is okay.
Do you know why a ship floats and a stone cannot?
You're bringing back the bad dialogue. Oh, Meteor Man. I know about Meteor Man. Well, kind of. I know that he exists. And I know that that's what they call him. To me, he's still Meteor Man. Don't spoil it. Yeah. Mind your own business. She takes one step back and you have to have like a panic and oh, baby N. Give me your hand. Mind your business. There's two grown-up Ns and a baby N. Give me your hand. Before they lost the Entwives. Yeah, that was Sauron's doing. It hasn't happened yet.
In the water as they do in the sky.
Why is the pommel hollow? It's supposed to be a counterweight.
Sometimes we cannot know until we have touched the darkness.
Going to Valinor is just becoming Galadriel. I don't like Ron here. And the Valar are like, okay, fuck you. Let's just reseal it. And then she's eaten by a shark. Oh my. It's becoming harvest season. How dare a leaf fall? Unknown pestilence, thousands of miles away from the other pestilence discussed. That was out of tune. Cool. Okay. That does not give you a lot of time to choose to watch the credits. Let's... Beer McCreary. I know that name, but... So in general, meh. There was too much CGI, and the CGI was too obviously CGI. There was too much wonky dialogue, too many instances of clearly trying too hard, and not enough actual Tolkien. Like I explained, I have a huge issue with the lack of the ban of the Noldor, the lack of Feanor, the lack of the Silmarilli, the fact that they just... Like, Galadriel almost just went back to Valinor. Like, that makes no sense at all. I hate that they changed that because it seems unnecessary. And they really have to justify it. I don't see how they can show Valinor, discuss the trees of Valinor, discuss Morgoth, discuss his destroying the trees of Valinor, discuss Sauron being his, like, lieutenant and taking over as Dark Lord. Showing characters like Finrod and stuff, like, that's already treading enough into the Silmarillion based off of the appendices of Lord of the Rings that you can include the other stuff. Doesn't make sense. I don't like that. Personally, I don't have any issues with any of, like the concept of holy original characters and places. Like, just the concept of it, that's fine. They just need to be well done to justify it. Like, an example is the video game The Lord of the Rings The Third Age. It almost exclusively follows like holy original characters. They get non-canonically tossed into like events such as helping Gandalf fight the Balrog or actually facing the Eye of Sauron, which is, I just think, silly. But like that, it works. Like they made a good original story within the Third Age story. So their use of wholly original characters, the application of it was well done. So I know I'm not saying it's not well done yet because it's only episode 1. I can't say that. But I'm saying that it needs to be well done to justify it. And I say that it needs to justify it because, like, it's unnecessary. You don't need to change the canon or create non-canonical stuff. It's not like there's not stuff to work with. When it comes to the racial stuff, even as a Tolkien purist, I don't actually see any issue with it. You know, why limit your casting options to a single ethnicity? It doesn't make sense. You should cast the person who is best for the role, regardless of things like skin color. That being said, the Hobbits are the only actually diverse group so far. We've seen one black elf and one black man. I think that's it. Looks like the Hobbits are actually diverse. There are people of varying ethnicity and varying gender, so like it's actually diverse, but the other, like so far the other ones just seem like stuck there, like just placed there. Not to seemingly go against what I said about like casting the person who's best for the role regardless of ethnicity. Is it not weird for there to only be one black elf in all of the elves? Like that, isn't that not, doesn't that stand out? Like, that's not to imply like cast people of color just because, but like none of the background characters even appeared to be of color, so like it makes him out of place. Like that's the problem with it. Like you can almost say like, oh, he's just one guy in this outpost. He's not actually like part of like an elf society. So him being the only black elf, like sure, but like we've seen Lyndon. Yeah, no, I don't think I saw a single black elf there. So anyway, thanks for watching. Stay tuned. I'm gonna try to blast through these. Let me know what you think down in the comments, whether you're a book nerd or not. Like, let me know what you think of the show and my opinions that I shared so far. Please don't like just intentionally spoil a bunch of stuff. I do want to interact with the comments, but if I'm just going to start reading spoilers, then I'm not going to be able to do that. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and don't forget to check out my other videos. The biggest one is the top 10 extended scenes from The Fellowship of the Ring. The other video of mine that I would definitely recommend would be my review of CinemaSins' Everything Wrong with The Fellowship of the Ring. I plan on making one more Fellowship of the Ring video before I move on to The Two Towers for its upcoming anniversary, but stay tuned for more Rings of Power reviews, and I will see you down in the comments. RichieNicksGaming, signing off. Fabian McCallum, you have a weird face.